Hey YouTubers, it's Steve again, coming from Rescape, my YouTube channel that seeks to aid and benefit people by helping them be more informed on their fundamental perception of reality and how that can benefit their life and help them in relationships and then change the world when large groups of people come to terms with and alter their fundamental perception of reality. Today, it's going to be part 4 on my informational systems video. Again, not trying to bore people, but today I'm going to try to make this a short video. There's really only one concept in lieu of the actual video is about, which is simplicity and simplicity of information. So it would make sense to honor the concept and actually make this a simple video and then maybe not a very long video. But the reason, well, first of all, let's define simplicity. When you say something simple, it can be like if you're not very intelligent, simple or something like that. But simplicity in the informational paradigm, the paradigm on information that I've been putting forth these past 3 videos, simple information is information that is concise, it's well organized. It's not that there's a lack of information, it's that it's put together in such a way that it can be easily understood. So, and what do I mean by understanding? Well, some examples on simple information. If like the Big Bang Theory about how the whole universe came from a single pinpoint prick of like nothing and then it just exploded out and no one knows how or why, or maybe we do now, I don't know. But like the reason that it was able to do that is because the information of the entire universe was in its most simple form. And the universes don't explode Big Bang out like that in our universe because there's nothing currently in the universe that it is as simplified as that point before the Big Bang, both physically and temporally. I think time was supposed to have began at the Big Bang or something. Another thing that you'll see, like filing cabinets, the way you organize things. Like people have, like just humans have things like we put things in drawers, or we put drawers in drawers, and it's the way that we keep track of things. Like you could just leave it laying around, and really, like, you know, from a day-to-day perspective, the time it takes for you to open a drawer and get something out, as opposed to the time to get it off a countertop, pretty much the same amount of time. And you could say, well, there's not as much room in the countertop, or maybe you can store more things. But really, the reason that we put things in things is because when things are in things, it allows us to simplify the information so we can have more things. We can know where more things are because of the way we arrange them. So in Tai Chi, there's something called Wu Chi stance, which is just you're standing there in such a way that you simplify the information of your energetic system in your body. And if you do that in the present moment, what will happen is that your body will take on extremely powerful qualities that it wouldn't do in any other situation. And then like the idea of like God being able to be understood by like babes and animals, and like how can something that vast and mysterious be understood by children, and it's because like God is also he purposely makes himself simple so simple people can understand him. So when you have the mind, like if you want to talk about mind spirit duality, when you have the mind will make things complex. Like the mind asks questions and like, well, what about this, what about that, and it'll go down branches of a subject and like really get into the details of different things and like to try to understand it better, while the spirit will more ask like closing questions like why is it like that, or like what's the purpose of this. And so you have these complex situations and you're like, but what does it really mean, and then you back up and you're like, okay, so this entire piece of history really can be boiled down to because so and so did such and such. And so the spirit has a tendency, not always, but a tendency to simplify information and make it more easily manageable or understood. In the present moment, the informational systems that I've been talking about, the way that the mind spirit interprets present reality, like the reason that we don't, it's a lot of times clutter or things will make us uncomfortable. Like you go out into the woods and there's like leaves everywhere and branches everywhere and like just trash, there's no order at all, but that doesn't make us uncomfortable. But when we have a messy house, that makes us uncomfortable. The reason is because the spirit can be in the woods and it can see that why the leaves are that way, and like they have a purpose. Like, not that you think with the mind like, oh, it's going to mulch the ground or anything like that, but like the fact that branches grow haphazardly in all directions to no pattern doesn't give anybody pause. Like an OCD person isn't going to care that of how a branch forks different ways, or how the river has rolls downstream but it goes around rocks. The rocks aren't placed in any patterns. It doesn't bother anybody. It's because what the spirit's picking up on there is that the information of that system visually would seem complex if you really thought about it, but the reasons behind it is very simple. Like, so I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but nature, even in its complexity, is very simple. It's simple information. And I don't know how else to describe this. When you are able to take your present reality, like present moment reality, and simplify it, what you're then are allowed to do, your mind spirit can access more information. So when it gets to the point, when the mind gets to the point that it has more information than it can handle, like, oh, things are just too complex, it'll start blocking things out. But if it can understand the reasons behind things, the information that would have before seem complex then becomes such that it can categorize it, and then it can memorize it, or maybe not memorize, but like store within itself the ideas of what it's learning in ways that are much more manageable, like note cards, for example, or something like that. Energetic wise, like if you try to do like telekinesis or something like that, the one of the qualities of a strong mind is that it perceives reality very precisely, and so that, like, normal people have, like, monkey mind or mind chatter, and so you live in everyday life, and there's always this stuff in the background that you try to ignore, because, like, you play the radio, or you have a TV on, or you're talking to somebody. Like, it's very hard for people to sit in silence because there's this background chatter that no one wants to confront, and that causes complexity in the system. You can't exist in the present moment with all that extra information that's just white noise. I mean, it may hold meaning. It seems like the nature of it, though, would suggest that it's random, and therefore it exists, and so that makes things less simple and doesn't actually add anything of value. So as you get rid of that, and then what you have left over is then more simple, and so you can be more engaged in that. So and from that perspective, it's not that the white noise actually distracts you, it's that the fact that it's imprinted in the reality that you're being surrounded by makes it so that you can't like be tuned into that reality as well, because you can't get it as simple. And I know just from my training, as your mind is able to see things more clearly and more simply, like, you have greater access to the present moment, and then it can make decisions more clearly, and things are understood more like instantaneously, and less like having to think about it. So there's that. But anyway, so I don't know, this is a lot of different things, but the idea of this video is that when you have informational systems, the informational system that is more simple is going to be the one that is also more powerful. And when I say powerful, I mean the one that has the most potential to do work in the system, or the more potential to change the information or create information in the system. Like, for example, if you read the Bible, in chapter 1 of the book of John, it says, in the beginning was the Word. If you look up the Greek for the word, that's actually logos, which means that it means more of an idea, or the idea you'd have in your head before you spoke something. And so, like, it can be translated like there was an original concept, and from that original concept, all things came about. It was the original idea source of the informational system, of all possible informational systems, and it says that is God. Like, that's what God is. He is the originating source. And if you look at something like a water faucet, or the source of something is usually going to be more simple than, like the trunk is more simple than all the leaves, at the ends of the branches. And if you turn on the shower head, the water coming out of the shower, is one stream, but then by the time it hits the tub, it's like goes every which way with droplets everywhere, and it gets really complex. So when you trace things back, and like with time, universal entropy is always increasing. Things are always becoming more chaotic and more random, just because of whatever law of thermodynamics. I think it's the second or third law of thermodynamics. So if you trace it backwards, what you get is more and more simple, more and more powerful, more and more originating. And it's possible maybe not to have the universe have less entropy, but you can have your mind perceive the universe with less of that, and then that makes a more powerful mind spirit, where you can create and affect your universe more efficiently and more drastically, I guess. Which could be like, your dreams. Like, you can have bigger dreams. Like, people with low entropic minds can plan better or more efficient in their actions, so they won't like spend 40 hours a week watching TV, because they have, they can see how what they're doing now lines up with what they want to have happen, long to the future, and that sort of thing. Which is the quality of the spirit to do that. I've talked about it in one of my other videos. But anyway, I think that's it. I'm trying to think of any more ideas or anything I can just throw at you that would you kind of get the idea I'm coming across. Simplicity is power. Like, the simplicity of information is powerful information. A simple mind is a powerful mind, and I think what happens in society is that society likes to make things complicated, and it distracts people. And it's not about what you put your focus on; it's about what you're not putting your focus on, and that needs to be changed. So this is Steve with Rescape, and if you have any questions, post in the comments. After saying all this, I think the underlining principle of this video, as far as like how it connects with other videos, is that you need to minimize and effectively allocate what you pay attention to, such that your reality is more simple, and then that way you can be more aware of what's going on. But anyway, yeah, Rescape week 22, something like that. Post in the comments. Love you guys. Take care. I'll see you next week. Goodbye.